how you doing? All right, where's my knife? Yep, here's my knife. All right, so today we are going to trim and dry brine this brisket. I am going to use. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right. So today I'm going to be using my Blaxiken and my homemade salt and pepper blend on this brisket. I'm cooking this brisket overnight tonight. So I'm going to dry brine it, get it about 8-10 hours of dry brining time in the fridge to help get some salt flavor deep into this meat, but also to build a crust on the outside. So, very first thing, wash your hands. Now, if you guys want to read about dry brining, I do have an article up on my website, cookinwithkunchi.com, that you could go check that out. I talk about dry brining in almost every beef that I cook. So, whether I'm doing brisket or I'm doing a roast for roast beef, all of those things, I'm going to dry brine my brisket. If I'm going to shred the beef, I'm not necessarily going to dry brine it because, you know, when you shred something, you have all those juices and the crust from the outside intermingling, so you get the flavor throughout. But when you are going to cook something that you're going to slice, dry brining is a really, really big help to make sure that you get flavor all the way through. All right. Rolling Smoke, what's up, man? How you doing? All right. Let's talk about knife. You want to go to my Amazon store. It's linked in the description. This knife is the oldest boning knife that I had. This is one of the first knives I bought when I started making content. All right. So holds the edge very well. It's very sharp. It's not very flexy. It's like semi-flex. Really, really solid. And before I start using my knife, I typically want to hone my blade. Okay. So I like to do like just equal amounts of time on either side. Get my blade nice and straight. It's very sharp already. Right? So when you're honing your blade, you don't want to just hone in the middle. Okay? You want to go heel to toe. Okay? Heel to toe. All the way. Because otherwise your blade is going to get a belly. Okay? You ever see some people's knives that this part's like eaten out because they've sharpened it? It's because they didn't do it properly. Alright? So heel to toe, guys. Heel to toe. Alright. We're done here. Alright, what do we have here? This is a 14.7 pound brisket. So I think we're gonna I'll be getting probably about 1.5 pounds off of this, I think. We'll see. All right. So this video is going to be posted up here. So if you can't watch through the whole video, just come back to it later. But make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate everybody for coming through and hanging out. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. Share it with somebody. But most of all, save the video so you can come back to it. All right. When I'm starting to trim my brisket, this is how I do my brisket every time. I flip it over to the fat side, and I'm going to cut on the fat side. If I cut the fat, I don't care. I don't want to gash on the meat side, okay? So I like to make an X pattern. All right. See? We have the cryovac open, and then I go in and I lift out the meat. And this leaves all those juices in the bag. They're not all over my board. And this is typically what I do, whether I'm trimming 10 briskets or I'm doing just one. Okay? So, no mess. I'm just gonna have this sitting in the sink right here because this is where I'm gonna put my scraps. Kind of drain that out. So that's where I'm gonna put my scraps. When I'm done, I pick that up, throw it in the trash. All right. All right. This skinny flap of meat right here. First thing we want to do, we want to know what we're working with. So, this big old piece right here, that's gash. Going to get rid of that. All along this side right here, we're going to come down until we can even up right here. So we're getting good thickness across the flat. Okay. So we're going to come down, cut through that, and then right here. Okay, see all that fat on there? Now you can see, here's the separation between the two muscles. You have the point right here, and you got the flat right here. This is a thicker part of the fat in the decal. That's the decal that runs in between both muscles. We're not gonna dig into this, okay? We're gonna cook this because we want this to render down to probably about a third of what it is. That's really what we're looking for. But to start my trim, what I'm gonna do is remove most of the fat off the point, okay? The point already, if you look at the point, you see all that fat inside of the meat already? We don't need the fat on the top. This is going to be moist regardless. All right? So, gonna go through here and we're just gonna attack this. You can see that? A lot of fat. We don't need all that fat on there. There's so much fat on the inside, intramuscular fat. This will not hurt your process, okay? You will get better flavor. The seasoning is going to be penetrating the meat and not just sitting on top of the fat, because seasoning don't penetrate fat, okay? It's going to penetrate the meat. You don't have a lot of water movement in the fat, so you're not going to get a lot of seasonings moving through there. And that's how the seasonings work. All right? See, we're getting like mostly fat off of here. So we're exposing the meat just so we can have better flavor. Okay? A lot of people are going to be like, well, fat is flavor. Well, fat is not the only flavor. If you don't have seasoning, if you don't just have good salt, good pepper, you know, whatever other spices you like, you're not going to enjoy your brisket, no matter how much fat is on there. All right. This is a brisket. Yes. There we go. Now we're seeing that meat. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. that's the meat right there. We want to expose this, but look, all that fat in between the meat, that is the delicious part. That's the fat that's really going to impact your flavor. All right. Now, when it comes to this part, we're not going to take as much fat off. This side, we're just trying to make it pretty, okay? Just trying to make it pretty, that's all. Thank you guys for coming in. We appreciate all you guys hanging out. Remember, if you're not subscribed to the page, I would appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button and check out my socials. If you want to know more about dry brining, please go check out my website. You can just go in the search bar, type dry brine, and you will find many articles that I have using dry brine and talking about what dry brine is and how it affects your flavors. All right. I'm using a boning knife, but you can use whatever knife is comfortable to you. If you want to find this one, go into my Amazon store, look at my knife collection, and you will see it. My Amazon store is linked in the description below this video. All right, so we just want to try to get this pretty. I'm not worried about 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch of fat. Like I don't care. I just want it to look pretty. And I think we're gonna smoke this on the kettle tonight. That's what I'm thinking. So I didn't make that gash in the meat right there. That was there. We're just trying to give ourselves a good surface to work with here. Okay. So you see this discolored portion right here, all along the side of the meat. This is where the air got to the meat. Can you use anything else beside mustard? You can also not use a binder. I don't put a binder on any of my meats. It's not needed. I'm not sure why people feel like they need to do that, but it is not something you need to do. I haven't put a binder on my meat since I forgot one time, and I was like, why the hell was I putting this on here always? I don't like the flavor of mustard over everything, so I don't put a binder on my meat. And I don't use anything else. Now, if I want to make something like jerk flavored, then I will use like a jerk marinade on it, but that's not a binder, that's a marinade, All right, so we got the decal off. That's protruding right here. That's all fat. And then we're gonna go along the side here and remove this entire piece. All right, it's discolored. It looks like it's gonna be chewy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you remove this piece or not, because when you season and smoke this brisket, it's all gonna look the same, right? Again, this is mainly for appearances. So this is what I just removed. Okay. That's that piece on the outside that it just looks old, but that's what the meat actually looks like. And that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to make it pretty. And then I'm gonna shape up this edge here. Okay. So if you are worried about this little bit of fat on top here, you can go ahead and remove it. I typically don't, but I'm going to show you guys how I can clean it up. So I'll show you guys me starting to do it. This is not something that I do every time. So you want to get your knife underneath the little bit of silver skin right here, and you want to kind of flex your blade up a little bit so you're not just digging into the meat. And then just kind of move through it. All right. The silver skin that's typically on this side of the brisket is not that thick. So if you're smoking a brisket for 10, 12 hours, that silver skin is not going to survive. But you also want to give your meat every chance of absorbing your seasoning. All right. So the scraps of meat I use to make barbacoa, like today, that's what I'm using. I have a bunch of scraps that I've saved, and I try to find like the bigger pieces, and I use those to just smoke them. Then I braise them in the crock pot, shred that meat apart, and that's tacos right there. Okay. You can also grind that meat for burgers. I've used it for meatloaf already. I've done a brisket meatloaf. You can go check that out up on my website. The recipe is there. Tons of ways that you can use this. And I also make beef tallow. Last brisket I smoked a couple of weeks ago, we made beef tallow. Okay, so I use it in multiple ways. Sometimes I'll just throw it out because I can only save so much. But you know, we do what we can. There's times when all my friends already have beef tallow and I don't need to make any. What's up? What's up? How's everybody doing? Yep. So right now I'm just trying to like get a little bit of this fat off here, just this extra stuff. Just exposing more of that meat. And you can see this is intramuscular fat right there, so that's not going anywhere. We're not trying to dig that out. That is fine. That's going to help to give our meat flavor from the inside. The fat that we're trying to remove is what's sitting on top that we don't really care for. This is a choice brisket also, but it's got really good marbling. I actually found this at Publix, actually, a few months ago. I've had this in my freezer for a while. A friend of mine wants a brisket, so I'll make this. I'm just realizing that I haven't done a brisket cook video on the channel in a while, so I need to work on that, and that's why I'm going live right here. If you guys want to see a detailed trim video with nice close-up shots, you can go to my beginner brisket series tutorial right on the channel. I smoked that brisket on a Kamado. think that one came out pretty good, so you guys can go check that out. All right, I think I'm gonna stop messing with this. Hold on. Okay. So let's give you guys a look at this. Oh, we got, I don't know, I think I'm gonna bring this down just a little bit. You can see how uneven this is. Just gonna bring this section here. Right? Better. So you can see lots of marbling in the meat right there. Lots of marbling in the flat. We have a nice fat cap. We're gonna smoke this. I think I'm gonna smoke this on the Weber kettle using the snake method. So yeah. Do you like making burn ends? I don't make burn ends. When the brisket's done, I will cut off the edges and that's the burnt ends, but I don't make burn ends. I don't cut up. I have done it. I'm pretty sure I have a recipe up here that I've done it a couple years ago where I cut this whole side up and did burn ends. I don't really care for that. The edges, that's the burnt ends to me. That's burnt ends are from brisket, so I like that. But I'm not gonna like deliberately go make burnt ends. This probably has 8, 10 pieces of burnt ends, and that's what I get. All right. Let me just wash my hands again here. All right. So now for the dry brine part, we are going to season this. I'm using my homemade salt and pepper blend and my Blaxican fajita seasoning. This seasoning is on my website. It is pinned in this video. You guys can go check that out. All right. So my homemade salt and pepper blend is just what it says. Wood that I'm gonna go for this, I'm gonna go with cherry. Give it a nice red color. But this is my barbecue glitter right here. 1 part kosher salt. Now I think this is sea salt. 1 part sea salt. Yes, this is 1 part sea salt, 2 parts pepper. That's 1 part 16 mesh and 1 part coarse ground pepper. I grind that pepper myself in the molcajete. I just drop some peppercorns in there, grind that around, and I like it really coarse. So it's gonna have a really good texture. Okay? So let's start. No. We'll do the sides first. So no binder, like I said. All right. got good salt and pepper on the edges. I'm going to hit the salt and pepper on the fat side. I'm going to show you guys close up what this is looking like in a little bit. But now we're going to go over that salt and pepper with the black chicken. So this is a fajita seasoning. It's a chili based rub. There's no black pepper in this rub. It's got kosher salt, lots of herbs, some cumin, oregano. All right. And now, full coverage. Done with that one. So I don't wrap my briskets during the cook on my kettle. I'm gonna let it ride, but I'm also gonna put it in the foil boat. The foil boat is gonna catch all of those drippings and juices, and then I can scoop that over it. It's gonna be really, really cool. I have a short video that's going, kind of going viral on my page right now, so you guys can see how my brisket comes out. And that one is actually just salt and pepper. So when I put my rub on, I like to pat it in, just like so. Have you ever had a brisket that was too salty? Well, it can be. So here, this is how I avoid that. I don't use table salt, right? I don't use table salt to cook with. I don't even have it in my house, and I don't use fine salt. With fine salt, you can over salt. I use coarse salt, kosher, coarse sea salt, flaky salts. Those are the types of salt that I use. If you're using 1 tablespoon of coarse salt versus a tablespoon of fine salt, you're gonna get less coverage with the coarse salt. What that does, it has more gaps between salt. Okay, so you won't over salt when you cook using salts like that, and that's just something that I've been doing for years. I prefer working with coarse salts. Not gonna get your meat to be too salty. Now you will have good salt, and especially like I'm dry brining right now, I'm going to get salt penetration, so all the salt is not just on the surface. You know what I mean? Now there are times when I can't help but just season and go, right? But if I have the time and if I know that I'm gonna make a bunch of briskets or I'm gonna make a brisket, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna season ahead of time. I'm gonna let it go. Which donut shop do I love? Local. There's a local donut shop called Java Junction. I love it. Krispy Kreme is alright. I like their basic donuts, but local for me. All right. So I'm wondering if the look will be different. No, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with this. Now, again, my salt and pepper. Right? That is just salt and pepper. You can look at it, you're gonna see some powder, and that's because I grind the pepper myself, right? And then you have some chunks, and then in between you have the 16 mesh black pepper that's store-bought. This is a good pepper coverage. You're gonna get the darkness for the bark. You're gonna get that fresh pepper flavor because of the ground pepper. And a salt and pepper profile on brisket, unbeatable. Unbeatable. So now we're gonna go over top again with the Blaxican just to round out the flavor. Now the Blaxican is a little spicy, not like crazy. You won't be like chugging water, you know what I mean? Like, but it does have like a forward spice because of all the chilies. We've got chipotle, we got ancho chili in there, and we also have just regular chili flakes. So, all right. And now what we're gonna do with this brisket, we're gonna sit this in the refrigerator open. So it's just gonna sit in there in a tray, and it's going to cause this salt to be pulled into the meat, right? The salt is gonna pull some moisture out. Moisture is gonna come to the surface. Then that meat is gonna reabsorb that salted liquid. And so we're gonna have salt flavor through the meat. The outside surface is gonna be dry. When I pull this out of the fridge tonight to put it on the smoker, it's gonna look like it already has a bark, okay? And that's what I like on my brisket. I wanna have a good head start on my bark. 8 hours in, this thing should look rock solid, and we're just waiting for temperature. Now this, the rest of the seasonings, like all the chilies and all of that, it's gonna dissolve into the surface of the brisket, and the black pepper is going to just be forward. You're gonna love it. No gloves. Why do I need gloves? What the hell are you talking about, man? Who cooks with gloves at their house? I don't understand why people come at me with this bullshit. Like, before you started seeing people on the internet using gloves, were you using gloves in your house? Why are you using gloves? I'm right by the sink. I can wash my hands. I've washed my hands twice since working with this brisket alone. If you were here watching, you would have known. Like, cut this dumb shit, dude. Now, I will use gloves when I'm outside. Okay? Germs. You wash your hands. What's on the gloves? Do you know what's on the gloves? The fuck out of here, dude. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. Yeah. You deserve to get bullied. I'm gonna say, maybe I should not say that, but people like you should get beat up. All right. So when I'm outside, I don't have a sink where I'm at. I do use gloves because I don't want to just touch everything with my meaty hands, right? If I'm on camera. If I'm not on camera, I'm not going to use any gloves because I can walk back in my kitchen, wash my hands when it's time, go back out there. I do that. I own gloves. You just don't need to use gloves all the time. I'm a fool. Thank you. I appreciate that. That would be the fool that is not out here propping gloves up as whatever. Yeah, for handling hot meat. Do you use vinegar for spritzing? I do not spritz either. At all. No spritz, no binder, no beef tallow on my brisket. Like, none of that shit, dude. Just cook the brisket. Let it be. Fuck the gloves, too. While we're at it. Yeah, no spritzing. Dude, you can check out my page. I have a beginner brisket series. I just don't do any of that. I don't spray anything. I used to. I started my barbecue watching all these people doing all this shit and copying. And then I realized, like, I don't like all that, right? I don't want my meat tasting like vinegar unless I'm doing something vinegar based. I don't want my meat tasting like soda. I don't want my meat tasting all sweet. So I don't put sugar in any of my rubs that I make. I just, simple. You know what I mean? Simple flavors. So I'm going to bring you guys in and show you what the brisket looks like right here. I'm going to place it on this sheet pan. It's going to stay in the fridge. It's going to be perfect all night or all day. All right. So let me bring you guys in so you can see. All right. Dun, 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 dun. So this is what it's looking like. You can see the pepper, the coarse grains of black pepper. That's just from the molcajete. We also have the red pepper flakes and all the other chilies. And then we also have some herbs. We got oregano, we have rosemary, we got thyme, all of that. All right. And you guys were here, did not put any binder on it, but check. All right. The seasoning is on there. We don't need to add a binder. I think when you use a binder, you inhibit smoke flavor. Yes, well seasoned. It's gonna be amazing. All right. Now I'll make a video, throw it on the kettle. I'm thinking that's what I'm gonna do. Put it on the Weber kettle, snake method, let it run overnight, and we're gonna be good. Yeah, sweet ribs. Man, I love dessert, but I do not like sweet meat at all. It's just not for me, you know? Hold on, let me rest you guys here. I'm gonna wash my hands. Maybe I should put the meat on first on this pan. Hold on! Okay, so I have the sheet pan with a cooling rack. And what that's going to allow, it's going to allow air to go underneath there and get that bottom side dry also. So that seasoning is stuck to the outside of the meat. Your bark won't be falling apart. You're going to have a nice crust. This is how I like to do my brisket. Now we're just going to pick this up. Put it in here. Well seasoned, baby. Are you going to do a video for this cook? Yes, I'm going to do a video for this cook. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the brisket on the snake method. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to wake up about 6, 7 hours later. We're going to put the brisket in a foil boat. We're going to let it continue to go. And then the brisket will be done when it's probe tender. I don't know what temperature. I just know when it feels good. I pull it off. I wrap to rest. I'm going to wrap in butcher paper to let it rest. And then I'll slice it up. Okay? Wash my hands. All right. So just remember, just in case you don't have gloves, you can wash your hands. Wash your hands before you start. Wash your hands before you touch stuff. Wash your damn hands. Soap and water. Wash your hands. Okay? There's You don't even know if the gloves are clean. You don't know what these gloves have been through. And I worked in healthcare, and we used to do this test. We used to do this test called the ink test to test how good the gloves are. There's no gloves that's 100% solid, impenetrable. Okay? Ink will always get through that bitch onto your finger. So you are still getting transfer. If you are afraid of germs on your hands, the gloves are not perfect. Okay? Just want you guys to know that. Now, when you're handling cooked food, okay, if you're serving the public, okay, make you wear some gloves. It looks good. You know what I mean? In your home, fuck that shit, dude. Don't do that. That's that's whack. I don't know when we became this society where gloves to touch everything. Like you touch your girl with gloves? The fuck. All right. Yes, I have Inkbird probes. I have Inkbird wireless. I have Inkbird wired. I have Inkbird digital. I got some Inkbird stuff. What's up, Kaylon? What's up? How you doing? Saw one of my local market about the same size for 98 bucks. Hey, 98 bucks for a brisket. Man, brisket prices are so crazy right now. Um, I don't know. It's just wild. But, we got to ride it out. So prices will come down, I bet. Um, what's up? What's up, Maria? How are you doing, my friend? Good morning. I appreciate you. So I bought that brisket like 4 months ago, and that brisket cost me 58 bucks because I waited till it was on sale and I grabbed it. But nowadays, when I walk into Sam's Club, it's hard to see a brisket between 14 to 15 pounds that's decent price. I'm talking about less than 90 bucks because brisket is like five something a pound here in Florida. I don't know where else. I don't know what the price is in Nebraska or wherever, but you know. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. Yeah, beef prices was promised to go down, but I don't know how that's going to work importing Argentina beef when farmers here are still struggling. So I don't know. I don't see like I don't see an end in sight right now, but it's probably we we have to realize as consumers when I go to the store and I see Argentina beef, I'm not buying brisket from Argentina, right? I'm not buying certain cuts from. I'm not buying ribeyes from Argentina because their ribeyes are not the best marbled. You know what I mean?
So as consumers, when you go into the store as an educated consumer and you know what you want, you're gonna pay the higher price for the thing. So important beef, like what? Ground beef? Okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't care for ground beef. I don't buy certain cuts that you want lean because their beef is super lean. Um, I don't know. The best pieces they have is probably picanhas, which it's fine lean because it's just so rich. But I don't know, dude. You just buy what you can. You know what I mean? Buy what you want, but buy what you can, and we'll do the best till we can't do anymore. You know what I mean? Yeah, ranchers. Yeah, just get like I said, buy what you want, buy what you can, and just do your best in between. All right. All right. Anyways, my daughter's calling me. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you for hanging out with me. Make sure you hit the follow button, and we'll post the cook video here soon. All right. Peace.